Welcome back to Lancer Library Radio, Lancer Nation. I'm Mr. Cataret, and with me today is my new co-host. Who's there?
What's happening, Mr. Cataret? This is Connor Elsey speaking. How are we?
How are you doing, Connor?
I'm doing all right.
My numbers skyrocketed as soon as people heard your voice in the last show, so I appreciate that. I think they were getting tired of hearing me. What do we got lined up for today, Connor?
We got a pretty stacked lineup today. We do have our first song suggestion today, so that's exciting. We also have two special guests, which is great. We have Dr. McNamara, and we have a good friend of mine, Eli, coming up later. But yeah, that's kind of really to summarize today's episode.
Terrific. And Monday is Clark Lane Day at Lancer Radio. So Clark Lane Middle School students and teachers, if you've got dedications, and we already got one that came in after just today, but we've got Ms. Kelly Barnes, math teacher, and we've got Scott DiBiase that's going to be coming in on Monday. And from what I understand, Mr. Elsey, you've got some challenges for a couple of teachers, or at least one teacher at Clark Lane.
I do. My old good friend, Mr. Higgins, if you're listening to this by any chance, shoot me an email at 20lcc@my.waterfordschools.org. I'd love to have you part of the show. And really, anybody else at Clark Lane, please send me or Mr. Catter an email.
Yeah, so our emails are now on the video. You can see it. We tried a new page with our emails on there. Send something in the comments, dedications, shout outs. If someone's doing something great in the Waterford community, then let us know so that we can put them on the show and thank them for the work that they're doing. If you want to get a shout out to somebody that you haven't seen in a while, then again, let us know. Doesn't have to be a song attached, but that's always nice. So, there is a song attached to this one. This we just got last week from Scott DiBiase. We'll be hearing from him on Monday. He's going to be on the show. So let's get that song up. 4, 3, 2, 1. Wish You Were Here from Pink Floyd.
And discipline remains mercifully.
Yes, and neither would you, Derek, this star nonsense.
Yes.
No, it isn't.
I'm sure of it.
So you think you could tell heaven from hell, blue skies from pain? Can you tell a green field from a cold steel rail, a smile from a veil? Do you think you can tell? Did they get you to trade your heroes
Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd. And that's from Scott DiBiase, sixth grader at Clark Lane Middle School, dedicated to all his friends he hasn't seen in a while. We're going to be hearing more from Scott on Monday when it is Clark Lane Day at Lancer Library Radio. Miss Kelly Barnes, math teacher, will also be here with us as well. But right now in the studio, we have Dr. Kelly McNamara, school psychologist for Waterford High School. Welcome, Dr. McNamara. Thanks for being here with us.
Thanks, Mr. Cataract. Thanks, Connor. Nice to kind of see you through the computer.
So how have you been doing through all of this quarantine?
You know, I think pretty much the same as everybody else. Day by day, hour by hour, there has been some real highs and, you know, a few struggles here and there.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about those struggles. You are in a particular position at Waterford High School. You're the school psychologist. Can you help us out a little bit and give us some professional advice about how do we deal with all this isolation? How do we cope?
So I think there's a lot of different things that you would want to consider. I really was talking with some of my colleagues about this topic frequently, but again today, just to kind of prepare for coming on the show. And I think it's important, stressful times like this create a lot of anxiety. For people who are already anxious, it can increase their anxiety, and for maybe people who've never been anxious before, you could start to feel that way. So a really common and for some people useful strategy is to really focus on the things you can control and the things you can't control when you're thinking about how can I cope right now, because there's a lot of things that are outside of all of our control. You know, we can't control what other people are doing as far as following recommendations right now. We can't control what other people are going to control, how long this virus is going to exist and, you know, continue to limit and change how we go about our day-to-day living.
So earlier today, you were nice enough to send me a graphic that I have up now. If people are looking at the actual video, for the most part, we just have the Lancer Library logo up there, but I think people should be able to see this. It's a nice graphic that talks about what you were just saying. I cannot control all of the things on the outside of a circle, and on the inside of the circle, the things I can control. So the actions of others, or how long this will last. You just brought up, we don't know how long it's going to last. And that is kind of stressful, not having control over that. But there are a bunch of things we can control. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. So it's a common thing and it's an easy thing to say, but boy, it's hard to practice sometimes. But one of the things you can control is your own attitude. And I myself have to remind myself of that frequently. You know, I can control if I'm going to let what's happening make me feel sad or make me feel stressed or make me feel a certain way. And I might feel that way for a moment or maybe long moments, but then I kind of have to catch myself and say, wait a minute, I don't have to feel this way. I can focus on things that are more positive and really the joys that are in interesting ways creeping into my life that I didn't expect. And I can follow the recommendations that are out there so that we can get back to doing things that we miss in our life. And I can choose, and I frequently do, to turn the news off. Because
yeah, I think that's a great thing.
And I think on my phone, I can choose what I read and what I don't.
And I think, you know, the following the CDC recommendations, I think it's difficult to think of yourself as doing something important when all you're doing is staying at home, not doing anything. But that turns out to be really important.
Absolutely, because when you just stay home, and I think it's been hard. You know, we've had to make, you know, every family has had to make some tough choices, and we've had to distance ourselves from our loved ones. And I think at the end of the day, that's been one of the harder things. But if I am around my loved ones, we could contribute to the spreading of a virus. None of us have it that we're aware of, but and if I'm around my parents, who of course are very involved in my child's life, that could put them at risk, even though we haven't left our house. It's just things that are difficult, but you have to do them even if you think the risk is low. How low, like what kind of a chance do you want to take?
Yeah, it is. It's strange. And especially for students that are very social and want to get together, and that's just not a really good way to get through this. They keep on saying this over and over again, but we want to flatten that curve, and the only way we can do it is by not interacting, at least physically. So what are you doing to get through this? You talked about your own child that you got to take care of, and you've got parents that are far away. Are they very far away?
Oh, no, they're close. That's what's tricky, is they're close and they're normally and very involved in spending time with all of us, and they are in an at-risk category just by their age. So we've had to limit interactions and things like that just for their safety.
So what are you doing to cope? What are the things that you're helping?
I definitely wanted to say that, there are lots of things that people can do to help cope. Getting outside, it's a little chilly some days, but if you kind of get up and get moving around, get some fresh air, take your family for a walk down the street. We were in our house, we were talking last night about how, prior to this, we didn't often see lots of people like outside, like doing family activities. Most people were inside, and now we're seeing kids on their bikes, and we're seeing families taking walks, and it's kind of a throwback to a different time, but kind of a time we think about wistfully, like, oh, remember when? And it's been just nice to kind of see that change. So, getting outside, and, you can still talk to your neighbor if you stay 6 feet away and there's not more than maybe two of you at the point.
Just this afternoon, I've been living in this neighborhood for 2 years, and a guy walked by me, said, I'm in the house down the street. I'd never seen him before. We had never introduced. We were joking about it. He was on the street. I was up on my porch. We were committed to social distancing, but we still had a good laugh, and we got to introduce ourselves. And you're right. I think that's a positive thing that has come out of this, is that, well, I know one of my neighbors' names now that I didn't know before, and that's a positive thing.
Absolutely. I'm one of those people, I like to be active. I like to go out and get a nice jog in, listen to some good music that makes me feel better. But I think what's really important is to just remember that, the way I cope or the way somebody else copes, like, my best friend might cope very differently than I do. And that's okay. It's really important to just find the thing that makes you feel calm and content and more together, and do that thing. That's the thing that, as long as it's healthy choice, those are the things that we should be focusing on. Is if you don't have any of those things, try some things out. Try taking a walk, try walking the family pet if that's appropriate, or get some fresh air, or FaceTime, or I'm an old lady, so I'm sure there's cooler technology than that, but things like that'll make you feel more connected to people.
I've been asking all my guests, and those are great suggestions. We already have coping mechanisms. We need to use them. I suppose the other thing is being stuck inside a house with people is, we need to be respectful of each other's coping mechanisms. Sometimes I just need to go in the corner and play solitaire for half an hour or something like that. But I've been asking all the guests 2 things that you're grateful for, and something that you miss, something you're looking forward to on the other side of this quarantine. So what are you grateful for?
Oh, my number one is all of this time with my daughter. I admit that not every minute of it feels grateful because sometimes I need to join a Zoom meeting with 15 other people, and she's, crawling all over my lap and asking me every 5 minutes, "Mommy, want to play? Mommy, want to play?" But my gosh, like how wonderful is it that I have all of this time with her? It is probably going to ultimately be the best memory I have with her, and and then maybe not, maybe there'll be some other really awesome ones in the future, but man, am I lucky to have this time with her.
That's great. That's great that you have such that positive attitude towards it. And Dr. McNamara, from everything I've heard and read, I think it's okay if you don't like every single second.
Yes, exactly. And it would be strange if I did, right? Because it would mean, there's always something that's a little tricky that you got to get through. But,
Sure.
but that's part of how I cope, is take a step back and be like, wow, I've always wanted to spend more time with her. And now I get to, like, wow, like my biggest dreams are coming true right now, even if it doesn't feel that way.
That's really important. Anything else that you're grateful for?
Uh,
Are you a great cook, or do you live with a great cook?
No. Well, I just, it's not that I'm a bad cook. We're not big cookers. We kind of throw things together here at the house. So, no, but I'm also grateful for, this is just a very me thing to say, I guess. Like, I'm actually grateful, or I'm reminding myself to be grateful for the change that we're all going through, myself included, that you have to go through change to really remember who you are and what's important to you and the kind of person you want to be. So I'm grateful that I'm having this time to reflect about that and reflect about how these things are hard and how am I going to respond to it and how am I going to allow this to make me a better person.
So on the other side, is there something that you miss? Is it, I don't know, Five Guys burgers? Is it going to a concert? Is it something that you miss that you're looking forward to? We're grateful, and I agree with you. I'm grateful for the time as well. I never would have done a radio show if I didn't have this opportunity. So something that you're looking forward to, though, on the other side, when this all blows over, or finally we get to lift the quarantine.
I would like to say something like new and exciting, but I have, like, if I'm being very honest, it's just contact with the other people. It's nice to take a jog down my road and wave at the neighbors as they are out in their yard or pass by. Those are strangers, but just being able to reconnect with the people that are important in my life that I haven't been able to physically see in a long time.
Yeah, that's important. Now, you sent us something to connect a little bit with your advisory students. And what year are your advisory students at the high school?
Class of 2020, go seniors.
Class of 2020. So, did you want to give a shout out to them? Did you want to, do you remember all their names off the top of your head? That's an awful question to force upon a teacher.
My God, yes. Poor Connor has been adopted by me because his advisory and my advisory have been sharing a space this year. So I think Connor could probably vouch that I know all of my students and I really like them. And I could definitely name them all by name. But we have kind of like our own anthem in the group that is just kind of assigned to me. And I think even Mr. Roberts' advisory is starting to understand that we have some little traditions in our advisory. And one of them is we have a song that we used to like to play every day at 9:03, I believe it is. And so it's become kind of our advisory anthem. And since advisory doesn't really exist anymore now that we're in distance learning, I thought the best thing I could do was dedicate a song to them and we could play our advisory anthem.
That's terrific. Dr. McNamara, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be on Lancer Library Radio. We really appreciate it. And this goes out to Dr. McNamara's advisory. Take it away, Shakira and Wycliffe Jean.
Ladies up in here tonight, no fighting. We got the refugees up in here. No fighting. Shakira, Shakira. I never really knew that she could dance like this. She make a man wanna speak Spanish. Como se llama? Bonita. Picasa. Shakira, Shakira.
Oh, baby, when you talk like that, you make a woman go mad. So be wise and keep on reading the signs of my body. I'm on tonight, you know my hips don't lie, and I'm starting to feel it's right. All the attraction, the tension. Don't you see, baby, this is perfection.
Hey, girl, I can see your body moving, and it's driving me crazy. And I didn't have the slightest idea until I saw you dancing. And when you walk up on the dance floor, nobody can ignore the way you move your body, girl. And everything's so unexpected, the way you right and left it. So you can keep on shaking it. I never really knew that she could dance like this. She make a man wanna speak Spanish. Como se llama? Bonita. Picasa. Shakira, Shakira.
Oh, baby, when you talk like that, you make a woman go mad. So be wise and keep on reading the signs of my body. I'm on tonight, you know my hips don't lie, and I'm starting to feel you, boy. Come on, let's go real slow. Don't you see, baby, I see it's perfect. Babe, I know I'm on tonight, my hips don't lie, and I'm starting to feel it's right. All the attraction, the tension. Don't you see, baby, this is perfection. Oh boy, I can see your body moving, half animal, half man. I don't really know what I'm doing, but just seem to have a plan. My will, self-restraint, have come to fail now, fail now. See, I'm doing what I can, so you know that's a bit too hard to explain.
Like this, she make a man wanna speak Spanish. Como se llama? Bonita. Picasa. Shakira, Shakira.
Oh, baby, when you talk like that, you know you got me hypnotized. So be wise and keep on reading the signs of my body.
Señorita, feel the conga. Let me see you move like you come from Colombia.
Mira, en Barranquilla se baila así.
En Barranquilla se baila así. Yeah, she's so sexy, I am in fantasy. A refugee like me back with the Fugees from a third world country. I go back like when Pac carried crates for Humpty Hump. We lead a whole club dizzy. Why the CIA wanna watch the Colombians and Haitians? I ain't guilty, it's a musical transaction. Bobo, zobo, no more do we snatch rope. Refugees run the seas cause we on our own boat.
I'm on tonight, my hips don't lie, and I'm starting to feel you, boy. Come on, let's go real slow. Baby, like this is perfecto. Oh, you know I'm on tonight, my hips don't lie, and I'm starting to feel it's right. The attraction, the tension. Baby, like this is perfection.
No fighting, no fighting, no fighting.
No fighting.
And that was Shakira, Hips Don't Lie, going out to Dr. McNamara's advisory. Thank you, Dr. McNamara, for giving us some insight into coping skills. It's not easy out there, folks, but if we just stay inside, we don't spread this, and we do our part, you can do your part by listening to Lancer Library Radio. And if you want to connect with people, then send us an email. I just got one a couple of days ago from Manola Cola, a para at Waterford High School. She gives a big shout out to her sister Silvana Baroli, who is a teacher in Albania, and to all of the Albanian and American teachers for the hard work and dedication to their students, especially in this hard time. And this is the song that she requested. Teacher. Tribute to Teachers by Terry Mills.
The decision of a lifetime when you decided to teach.
Did you learn from your experiences that you cared enough to reach? With outstretched arms and an open mind, the wonders you believed you'd find in the warm glow of a kid's young heart, whose trust you'd earned since the school year's start. You're a teacher, a beseecher, not a preacher. You're a reacher for the stars, to share with kids no matter who they are. You're a teacher, you love the job you do. And if this world needs something real bad right now, it's teachers like you. The good times didn't always come easy. There were sacrifices made. All the hours you spent still working, while some others ran off and played. But your students played with new delights and rested better through the night. 'Cause tomorrow in school they wouldn't be scared, 'cause they knew they had a teacher who cared. You're a teacher, a beseecher, not a preacher. You're a reacher for the stars, to share with kids no matter where they are. You're a teacher, you love the job you do. And if this world needs something real bad right now, it's teachers like you. So it must have come as one terrible shock when you first heard the news. The government's low on money, so they're cutting back on schools. And you're sad because it makes no sense to deny these kids their last defense from a world in which they're lonely and scared, just a little bit less because you care. You're a teacher, a beseecher, not a preacher. You're a reacher for the stars, to share with kids no matter who they are. You're a teacher, you love the job you do. And if this world needs something real bad right now, it's teachers like you. And if these kids need something real bad right now, it's teachers like you.
All right, that was Teacher, a tribute to teachers from Jerry Mills. And at this point, everybody will be very happy to know that I'm going to be turning this over for the next few songs and interviews to my good friend and co-host, Mr. Connor Elsey. Connor?
Cool. Thank you, Mr. Catterat. Our first song we have here is a song that's dropped today. It's off the album Heaven to a Tortured Mind by the second album by the band called WHS Tumors, a great experimental rock project based out of Tennessee. And here we have the song Gospel for a New Century.
Terrific.
Cool. That was WHS Tumors with Gospel for a New Century. And now we have our second guest of the evening, a good friend of mine, someone who I went to elementary school with. And yeah, here we have my buddy Eli. Eli, what's happening?
Hold on just a minute. I got to get to, oh, there we go. Eli, you can talk now. I'm still getting used to this. Sorry. I'll leave the room now, guys.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Carrot. And it's a pleasure to be here. I'm very honored. Thank you.
So Eli, what have you been up to, dude? I haven't seen you in a little bit. What's happening?
Yeah, been staying busy. Been staying active. You know, that's important. We've been pretty lucky the past couple days. It's been not as bad weather as the forecast predicted. So been going outside a little. Been watching some movies. I'm not a huge movie watcher normally, so that's been kind of nice to kind of catch up on some pop culture references and all that.
True. What movies? Come on, give me a name. Give me a name.
So far I've seen 4 movies. First was 2001: A Space Odyssey. Then Bohemian Rhapsody. Then I saw Battleship Potemkin, which is a 1925 Soviet silent film. And just last night I saw The Lighthouse. Are you familiar?
Yeah. How was that? It's the William Dafoe and Robert Pattinson movie, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good. I'd recommend. The cinematography was great. It's black and white, but it was filmed last year, so it was kind of interesting.
That is cool. That is cool. What's your song for today, man?
My song is "Tropical Hot Dog Night" by Captain Beefheart. It's a little bit out there, but I hope you like it.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. I can interject. Morosky, you're not getting away from here without telling me what you thought about Battleship Potemkin.
Of course not. Well, you know, I'd heard great things about it, and I can't say that I agree that it is the best movie ever made, which it was once nominated for. But considering it was made so long ago, almost a century ago, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's Eisenstein, famously the director of it, when he came to the United States, the only people that he wanted to see were Frank Capra, who directed It's a Wonderful Life, you might know, and Walt Disney. He thought Walt Disney was the best filmmaker ever because he could completely control all of his actors. He had complete control over all of his actors. Anyway, yeah, it doesn't always translate, but it's an interesting film.
Yeah.
So Eli, before we get to Captain Beefheart, which we will, what are you looking forward to most when you get on the other side of this thing?
Honestly, school. You know, it's been a bit of a change, and you know, we have online school now, and that's helped to give us a little bit of a schedule. But yeah, I'm missing just being able to see my friends, being able to have classes, you know, interact with people every day, and yeah.
You know, all you people come on here and you all have these high-minded things.
Yeah, he's lying. He's lying.
All I can
Half
think
of that
about-
is just no.
All I can think about is I miss tacos.
Yeah,
I want to go to Mi Casa,
me too.
and I want to
Yep.
get tacos.
Yeah,
But-
Mi Casa is one of my favorite restaurants, so I definitely agree with that.
All right. So why did you send me this thing? Captain Beefheart and the Magic Band playing Tropical Hot Dog Night. Why did you send us?
Well,
where did you hear about Captain Beefheart?
Well, I knew about Captain Beefheart before. I don't remember exactly how I found out about him, but I was familiar with his record, Trout Mask Replica.
Mm-hmm.
Great record.
My brother actually mentioned this song a couple days ago, my brother Gabe, and we listened to it together because it was on his Spotify playlist for most listened songs of 2016.
Wow.
And yeah.
Eli, can I ask you, are you the youngest?
I am.
Yeah. And you get a lot of older brothers?
I have 2.
Right. I grew up, I was the youngest of 5, and my music tastes were always based upon what my older brothers were listening to. So I ended up having this very strange, skewed vision. I don't know where Connor gets it from. He's just a freak of nature.
I get it from YouTubers and internet bloggers who have nothing to do but crap on other people's music.
Well, we don't do that here. But all right. So, Mr. Morosky, thanks for showing up at Lancer Library Radio. And do you want to send this out to anybody? To your brother Gabe, maybe?
Yeah, I'd like to send it out to my brother Gabe.
All right. So here's Tropical Hot Dog Night from Captain Beefheart.
Tropical hot dog night. Like two flamingos in a fruit fight. Every color of day. Whirling around at night. I'm playing this music so the young girls will come out to meet the monster tonight. Tropical hot dog night. Like two flamingos in a fruit fight. I don't want to know about wrong or right. I don't want to know. I'm anywhere tonight. Tropical hot dog night. Like two flamingos in a fruit fight. Like stepping out of a triangle in the striped light. Striped light, striped light. Tropical hot dog night. Everything's wrong at the same time it's right. The truth has no patterns for me tonight. I'm playing this music so the young girls will come out to face the monster tonight. The monster tonight. What do all you women do when the men get tropical hot dog payday? What do you do on tropical hot dog day? Step out of a triangle into striped light. Turn around and step back into striped light. Tropical hot dog night. I'm playing this song for all the young girls to come out to meet the monster tonight. Meet the monster tonight. How would you like to be the lucky girl, the lucky one, to be the monster tonight? How to be the monster tonight? Everything's wrong at the same time it's right. You get to be with me, and also to be the monster tonight.
That's a great song right there. Thank you, Eli, for the suggestion. Thanks for coming on. And to all listeners, if you want to come on the radio show, just email me, Mr. Catterat. We'd love to have you on or take a suggestion. The next song is by an artist I love. His name is Thundercat. He's a great bassist. He's easily the best bass player of his generation right now. He works in the sounds of R&B, electronic, jazz, rap. He's in everything. Funny story about him, actually. 2 weeks ago, I was supposed to see him in concert. However, this thing called the coronavirus happened. But yeah, he's got a new album out today. Definitely go check it out. Here's the song Interstellar Love by Thundercat. All right, yeah, so that's off Thundercat's new album. It is what it is. The song's Interstellar Love. If you like the NPR Tiny Desk series, he has probably the best episode on that website. Check him out live. We do have another song right now. The song is called Midnight. It's a collaboration actually between a band called Krungbin, which is like this generation's like jam rock band. They're awesome. Check them out. And they've collaborated with actually Barack Obama's favorite artist, Leon Bridges. He's an awesome neon soul guy. And here's their collab, the song Midnight.
Up in Pilot, I lived in Crowley Town, needing me to get you from your mother's house. Baby, I'll be there, just put on your lavender, perfume in a nice dress. Girl, I hope you like this. Midnight black on the outside, inside you and I leather and last. Fell deep in a romance, way back when we did. Midnight black on the outside, inside you and I leather and last. Fell deep in a romance, in the backseat we did. Sailing up the highway, you smoke with the windows down, reflection in the rear view, fading lights in town. I know you can't stay too late, I'll have you home in time. Let's find a place of silence beyond the county line. Midnight black on the outside, inside you and I leather and ice. Fell deep in a romance, way back when we did. Midnight black on the outside, inside you and I leather and ice. Fell deep in a romance, in the backseat we did. Outside, inside, you and I leather and ice. Fell deep in a romance, in the backseat we did. Midnight black on the outside, inside, you and I leather and ice. Fell deep in a romance, in the backseat we did. Midnight black on the outside, midnight not back on the outside. I remember how it was back then. We were just young ones. And on that night, you said you loved me softly. The haze on the window. Had to borrow my mama's car that night. Come and scoop you. This was some good fun. We had a great time. I wonder where you are now. So if you hear this, let me know. Oh, maybe we can go again. Oh,
yeah. Awesome. That was Krungben and Leon Bridges with Midnight, a suggestion from our brand new co-host, Connor Elsey. We'll hear from him again before the end of the show. Right now, it's a reminder that April is National Poetry Month. And I couldn't think of a better way to start off National Poetry Month than with this clip from Morgan Freeman on the Charlie Rose Show, January 12th, 2010. He's talking about Nelson Mandela, who won the Nobel Peace Prize and relied on this poem by William Ernest Henley for strength while imprisoned on Robben Island for 27 years. Nelson Mandela was in prison for 27 years, and this is the poem that got him through. I'll post the full text in the comments, but let's listen to Morgan Freeman. It's a little bit quiet at first, but it's worth the listen.
The poem. From William Ernest Henley.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That poem was his favorite poem. And as he explains to Pinar one time, when he lost courage, when he felt like just giving up, just lie down and not get up again, he would recite it. And it would give him what he needed to keep going.
Can you recite it? If you can't, there are some words.
Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole. I learned it when I was in school.
Yeah. Did you really?
Yeah. I think whatever God there may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of fate, my head is bloody, but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the shadow of the shade. Yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me, unafraid.
God.
It matters not how straight the gate and how punishment charged the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul.
This is a magical moment in the history of this show to hear you do that.
Wow. Thank you.
And he had it, and he memorized it, and it was his anchor.
Yeah. Yeah.
When the winds were at their worst.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, that was Morgan Freeman reciting Invictus by William Ernest Henley. As I said, I'm going to put the full text of that poem on the comments section. It's worth checking out. And it's also worth checking out the film that Morgan Freeman was talking about. It's called Invictus. It's a 2009 South African biographical sports drama. So Morgan Freeman's playing Nelson Mandela, who's just been made president of a very divided country, and he enlists the South African rugby team to help him bring the black and white parts of South Africa together. It stars Morgan Freeman and Matt Damon, and it's directed by Clint Eastwood. It's a great film. It's an inspiring film. If those three names alone don't get you to watch it, I don't know what else I can do to help you out. Anyway, I want to thank you, everybody, for stopping by today. We have one more song that we're going to finish off the day with. But remember that we'll be back on Monday. It's the Clark Lane Middle School show. So if anybody from Clark Lane, teachers or students, have a request, send it in. Our email addresses are now on the video itself and on the radio. Tell us your dedications. Tell us your shout outs. Is there a local hero in your neighborhood that's doing good work who should get some credit? We'll be happy to give them a shout out. Connor, you got anything else to add?
No, just stay inside, stay healthy, and wash those hands.
Yeah, amen, brother. All right. This is from history teacher Mr. Gamble. Guns N' Roses, November Rain. Have a great day, everybody.
know that you can love me when there's no one left to blame. So never mind the darkness, we still can find a way. Nothing lasts forever, even cold November rain.
All right, that's our show. Thanks everybody for showing up, and let us know if you need any requests or any dedications or shout outs. See you later, Connor. Thanks for being here.